Show airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Today is June 4th, 2022, and today we are talking about the history of the iconic Plaza Theater in downtown El Paso, its construction, many premieres, changes, and reinventions over the years, and of course, the upcoming Plaza Classic Film Festival. You can find us on air, online, live streaming on KTSMradio.com, and with full video and all the stuff we do over on our various social media pages, including the El Paso History Radio Show Facebook page and YouTube channel, as well as shortly up here on the Facebook page, Remember in El Paso When. And this is, of course, the place where we say Texas history begins in El Paso. And we do have a history moment today at the top of hour 2 from documentary filmmaker Jackson Polk. Today he talks about Hueco Tanks in the eastern part of El Paso County. So our guests today, we have quite the crew, both in studio and calling in. In studio with me today are Mary Jo Melby, Jay Duncan, founder and director of the Sunset Film Society, and calling in with us as well, we do have Doug Pullen to talk about the film festival as program director with the El Paso Community Foundation. So thank you all very much for joining us here.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Good morning.
Happy to have you all on because we have got, again, quite a lot of interest and excitement for such a topic here. Among other things, we had at least one very eager listener calling up to let us know, asking how much tickets were for this. And I said, well, you just have to tune in on your radio. So free as long as you got the electricity and, well, the radio set. So go buy one if you don't have it. But assuming that you heard it either from what you all are talking about, Jay, because you are quite prolific in the way you promote things as well as you have for years, but also what we talk about on air. So excited to talk about this subject here. So, of course, the Plaza Theater has had, even just in my lifetime, a lot happening in it. But with the Plaza Classic Film Festival coming up end of this month, there's a great way people can go and experience everything we're going to be talking about here today. So, Doug, since we got you in phone here this first hour, let's start with you then about, well, of course, the film festival. Just assuming that there's someone out there that has not heard about this, and hopefully they're listening today, what do you tell people about if they don't know what the film festival is?
Well, it is obviously a classic film festival by nature. We feature a lot of movies that would have or did show in the Plaza Theater in its initial glory days as a single screen movie palace. And then we also mix in more contemporary things, other things. You know, we have a local film showcase this year. We've added a screenwriting competition, things like that. But it was inspired by the restoration of the theater when it, reopened in 2006. A lot of people asked Community Foundation staff if the movies were going to come back. Mm-hmm. So in 2008, they started the festival.
Yeah, and I recall back in, I can't exactly remember when because I was a young person at the time, that before the restoration happened, there was, some different ownership and situations involving the actual theater itself. And I remember actually getting to go in there because someone was showing like a monster movies at Halloween kind of thing, but it was not a restored area. It was still a little bit in needing of refinishing, but that was, of course, a temporary situation. It is now, fully up and running as, among other things, a great performance venue. And again, with the Plaza Classic Film Festival coming up July 28th through August 7th, how many films are on the list now?
It's about 90, give or take, and that's not including the local films. The local film showcase, we take entries, we curate the entries. So probably another 10 to 15 movies will come from that. So about 105 when it's all said and done.
So quite the schedule here. And of course, people can find that over on plazaclassic.com. And one of the major guests that you're going to be having that you have announced since we talked last anyway, and some of our other programming is, of course, F. Murray Abraham.
Yes. He is coming in to appear with Amadeus, which is the movie he won the Best Actor Oscar for in 85. Mm-hmm. And that'll be on August 5th. And then he's also going to appear with a newer movie by Wes Anderson, The Grand Budapest Hotel, which will be at 4:00 on August 6th. And the idea there is to kind of show, here's the movie that put him on the map with most people, because he came from theater primarily. And then with Grand Budapest, it's showing how he's been in demand with these younger directors like Wes Anderson, the Coen brothers, the people who made Homeland, which he was on for about 7 years, things like that.
That's right, yeah. So local connections, and of course you're having a lot of, again, not just big names and big movies that people recognize or maybe have even seen at the theater back in the day, but also, like you mentioned, local things, there's even some contests going on. So a lot of things people can find out over primarily on the website, plazaclassic.com, right?
Correct. We're slowly populating the website with information. We'll have the full schedule out probably within 2 to 3 weeks. And a quick note about Murray Abraham. He went to El Paso High School, graduated in '58, and one of your guests went to school with him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Mary Jo, yeah, you were mentioning a little bit before we actually got on air here today that you're going to be visiting with your classmate, hopefully, when he's in town.
Yes, we're getting together the gang, and we're hoping to visit with him then.
Absolutely. Here, have to make sure you get really close to that mic. Your radio mics are sensitive in that way. So, I mean, yeah, that's exciting. So I'll be very interested to see all these events coming up. I am always tempted to get the pass, like the 100% pass, see all the movies pass. But given that I always have live, broadcast deadlines every day, I can almost not justify it, but I'm still tempted to say, well, I've got the pass, so we might as well go. Because, of course, you have individual tickets, but you'll be having those as well, right?
You'll just have to miss work. What we're doing a couple things. We're probably going to move our on sale up to later in June. Normally we do it after July 4th. So the individual tickets will be on sale probably within a couple of weeks. And the prices have not changed. We have not raised prices in 10 years, which I think is a bonus in an inflationary year like this. We also did away with our Teen Film Club pass, which was a restricted pass for high school kids. And we turned it into what we're calling a movies only pass. So for $100, you can go to any ticketed movie with one exception, and everything, all the other perks, the receptions and the restaurant discounts and all that are not included. So it's just strictly movies, basically.
Okay, fantastic here. So again, Plaza Classic Film Festival coming up July 28th through August 7th. And that's just a good pin in a reason to talk about this kind of a subject today, because we're also going to be delving into a lot of the history of the Plaza Theater itself. So we have our guests here in studio, among other things. Jay, people may be familiar with you over the years of being film movie buff and presenting your own series previous years. For people curious, what is the status of that currently?
Well, right now, hopefully in the near future, we can get back going again after 27 months, but who's counting without the Sunset Film Society showings? It's just a matter of the timing, I think. But I'd like to reinitiate it back at the International Museum of Art. It's a wonderful venue, a great auditorium. We had a loyal following of people every week. And we were just shy of 5 years on a weekly basis there when the pandemic occurred.
Yeah, and that threw wrenches in a lot of things, including, of course, the Plaza Classic Film Festival, which has now returned. I mean, we've talked with Doug previously about the very many different tactics taken to try and, keep the flame alive, essentially, here. So certainly understand the difficulties there. But, of course, we also are going to be talking about the films that you've seen there over the years and some of these great archival pictures you put up. If you're not following us over on social media, this would be the show to do so, because I am looking at a slate of pictures, both from archival stuff and taken by Jay himself, that we're going to be getting to. I've popped a couple up here just as a teaser, and we'll describe some of them, don't worry, when we're actually getting into them over for our radio audience. But if you can, I would highly recommend switching over to the Facebook or YouTube if you've got the availability. And then, of course, Mary Jo, we've got some familial influence on the actual construction of the plaza itself from your family's history, right?
Right. My grandparents came to El Paso in 1897. My granddaddy was a contractor, and he was a general contractor for the Plaza Theater in 1929.
So here's his picture. What was this gentleman's name?
H.T. Ponsford, Henry Thomas Ponsford. And he built many, many early buildings in our city, but took very much pride in our beautiful palace.
And I mean, some of these construction photos here, the one I really want to pop up is showing what would eventually become, the main theater hall there. And looking at the back, you're looking at, I'm not quite sure what that building immediately in the background is. What would be your assumption there, looking at that kind of if you're looking straight past through the main hall there, if you were to look through the back wall today, what would you think that building is? I was trying to guess, but I don't think I was right.
I don't think I know.
Yeah,
Jay-
well, in
Jay?
1929, that's
Mm.
hard to say. The caption might have said,
Okay, see if we can find that up a little bit more. But in any case, seeing the actual construction photos of the literal bones of the Plaza Theater coming up is pretty fascinating because, I mean, it's hard to imagine that as anything but a very kind of dense area these days.
And you look at the balcony today and you just wonder how it's standing up. There are no
Mhm.
columns, and it makes a very attractive approach.
And I think one of the answers to that question actually is it is noted on a picture that we got here from you, Jay, that is a 40+ ton beam that was
Right.
being raised.
it's a 70-foot long by 8-foot deep and 48-ton I-beam that my understanding was that it was brought in, I believe, from Dallas by the
Dallas.
Chris P. Fox Transfer Company. And later people may remember Mr. Fox as a greeter at the State National Bank, but he was known as Mr. El Paso at one time. And I understand it was rather unyieldly, especially
can
around some
imagine.
corners coming into downtown, which is downtown now, and wiped out a car or two, I think,
Or two. Okay. Yeah, you think you learn after the first one, but I guess practice makes perfect would be an argument to be made there. Doug, do you have any idea what that building might be in that background of that? Again, the kind of central. If there's this
You know
one.
what, I don't. I know that is Main Street behind there.
Mhm.
When Main Street was, now it's just an alley that Main Street's disconnected by, and there's a parking
Right.
ramp there now. But I don't really know what was there.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out the angles here because I'm tempted to say something that may or may not have been around at that time here, like maybe the Cortez would have been like of that height because it's clearly a multi-story building, but I just without seeing further around it, but it's an evocative view anyway. The idea that this was looking out into a burgeoning city at that point in time, but even the level of construction that was happening there, and you kind of mentioned. Of course, what the street was like at the time here. We got a great picture from that time of how the even just flow of traffic at that point was very different because it was a much more, even a different direction active roadway.
Mhm.
That's right. And I got to reiterate on the beam, just historically, it was the largest between Dallas and San Francisco, which is some area, it's some distance.
Yeah,
there.
no, you're covering a good chunk of the country there, so that makes sense to note about it. And of course, the plaza itself here, I mean, going a little bit even out necessarily talking about movies and theaters, is that Pioneer Plaza off to the right of this photo we're showing, which shows the front of the Plaza Theater and a crowd assembled around what looks like it may have been one of those premieres, or at least guests visiting town here. Pioneer Plaza, the newspaper tree, was kind of its own little focal point at earlier eras of El Paso history and has continued to evolve and is not so much a thoroughfare anymore, but is still, I mean, the Plaza Theater, the El Paso del Norte Hotel, the renewed plaza, and the renewed building that, I forget the name of it, but the one that houses a Cafe Central is seeing a lot of development happening there. So people, yeah, exactly, as Doug was mentioning there. So, I mean, there's a lot that has happened and been going on. So it being a focal point in different ways over the years, I love seeing the pictures of it because it's quite fascinating here. So we're due for that first break of the hour here right now. Again, joining us in studio here, we do have Mary Jo Melby and Jay Duncan, founder and director of the Sunset Film Society, as well as joining us on the phone, we do have Doug Pullen, program director with the El Paso Community Foundation. We'll be talking with them more here in the next segment, but got to take that first one here. So coming out of this break, we'll talk more about the history of the plaza, some of its earlier showings, premieres, and again, these great archival photos that Jay has provided. So we'll get into that and a whole lot more after this first break of the hour with the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code GOLD. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for a $5 bonus.
Hey El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. We make car buying fast, fun, and easy. And due to high demand, we need trades. So we'll do whatever it takes to get you out of your old vehicle into a new car, truck, or SUV today.
Even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth, we want it. So you can get huge savings on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. For a limited time, get $4,000 off MSRP on the all-new 2022 full-size Jeep Wagoneer SUV with third-row seating and up to $7,000 off select new Ram trucks. Super low 2.9% APR for 72 months on the all-new 2022 Dodge Charger. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Trade and upgrade for less during the Make the Switch event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 2.9% APR is $15.15 per thousand finance on select vehicles. Zero down with approved credit. Offers not combined.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
We are the El Paso History Radio Show on Facebook. You can go there for our weekly promo announcements of the topics for the program each week. And also, of course, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/El Paso History TV, where, among other things, another part of the live broadcast we do here, but also you can find the full El Paso Gold DVD series from Capstone Productions covering more than the last 20 years. Fully uploaded and free for your viewing pleasure of many different aspects of El Paso history. Plus, of course, over there, the 20 recent segments from the ABC7 TV series from El Paso History TV. Also, just a reminder to support one of our advertisers. Pepe's Restaurant in Canutillo is open for in-house dining, 6761 Donovan Drive. I'll be headed out there today. If you all want to join us, more than welcome to here. Doug Pullen over on the phone line there. You're welcome to join us as well if you can make it out. But otherwise, Mary Jo and Jay Duncan here in studio with us. Welcome to join us there. Of course, you can call them Pepe's at 915-877-2152, 915-877-2152. And again, 6761 Donovan Drive, home of the one and only Margarita. And I got to mention here, because it happened, well, not too far from the facility we're talking about, the Plaza Theater. There was, of course, the retirement of, well, its own bit of El Paso history with the general manager of KVIA, Kevin Lovell, having his retirement extravaganza happening there this week. So just would be remiss not to mention there, particularly as we were talking about ABC7 there for just a second. So, Doug, while we were in the break here, we solved that mystery of that picture that we were talking about. So to describe it better for our on-air audience, I was mistaken thinking that the picture we're looking at of inside in the skeletal build out of the Plaza Theater, that we're looking towards the stage. We're actually looking from the stage, what would be the stage, towards the balcony area and through the back kind of open area that was still not enclosed.
I know. Yeah,
You're
I know which picture you're talking about now. I'm not on the Facebook page, so I was going on the description. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are looking now at what was then, at that point as well, the Paso del Norte Hotel, kind of just slightly off in the distance there. So that is very interesting. I mean, it gives you the perspective of the size, scale, and how it was being built out. So we just didn't want to leave that as a lingering question mark for anyone in the audience. It would have bugged me for the rest of the day. I can tell you that if we didn't figure out this answer here.
And the company that built the plaza, the company that started that project, owned theaters up and down South El Paso Street, including the LNA, which was later the Capri where Jay had worked, and also the State, the Wigwam, and a few others up and down the street. And he built the plaza as kind of a thank you to a market that had supported him well. This has always been a good movie-going market. But also there was nothing like it between us and Phoenix, Dallas and Phoenix. So he was kind of ahead of the curve on building this movie palace.
Because, I mean, it may seem almost not quite impossible, but very difficult to imagine from this point of modern history. But the idea that, sound in movies was a relatively new concept at that point in time. We were talking about that a little bit during the break, right, Jay?
Right. That's right. It didn't come out until 1928 with a jazz singer. And of course, the plaza, when it opened in 1930, was equipped with sound because that was the new kid in town. You know, the other theaters of the area, the LNA, the Alhambra, which became the Palace, and the Wigwam, which became the State, were all pre-Plaza Theater. They were like 1918. And so they were silent movie houses to begin with, in addition to some live theater as well, at the time.
I mean, there's a reason we call them theaters to this day, because performances happening there, whether live or recorded, was how they came about. But yeah, so when the plaza came into existence, there we have the full page of the El Paso Times from that moment in the 30s when it opened. And some of the architectural drawings are also very interesting, and the style and influence that went into it. I mean, anyone who's been in the Plaza Theater know that it has some distinctive. It's not just a place with a screen. It's a whole set. I have always appreciated back in the day when they would do the light show is what I want to call it, but it's not quite that. The stars and the movement and all those things on there. I know that happens sometimes, though not always. And that is just kind of emblematic both of the way it kind of was and still is.
That's right. It's a truly atmospheric theater. It's not just a box that shows movies. It's not a multiplex that's divided by a wall that, sometimes you can hear what's going on next door. So it was created as a very elegant in a time of depression, which 10, 15 cents was some relatively pretty good change back then, but you could escape for the hour or two into a very luxurious atmosphere, and before the real world entered your life again when you left. So it was, and I think like we know, a lot of the films of that period were pure escapism. You had the musicals and the things that were just pure entertainment, and that was for a reason, I think, because it was a pretty grim period of world history at that time.
Yeah, difficult times here. And just as a kind of microcosm of the luxury of the facility you were talking about, this is a picture of the women's powder room, which of course is still there as part of it today. And yeah, you don't see that kind of thing with, velvet mini settees or ottomans, I guess, individual mini tables, lit mirrors, and just it's the sense that even ever since it's been renewed, of course, but even before then, was evident throughout the building.
Absolutely, it was all done. There was nothing left as far as we're not going to cheap this down. We're going to do it right, and it's still that way. It's truly an elegant movie theater.
It really is. And although I wouldn't be born for many, many years after the plaza was built, a lot of my older cousins were taken down to the theater to see the Italian artisans applied the real gold leaf.
Oh, wow. I think we have another great shot of that, actually, among other things. From that, well, that kind of interior lobby area, and looking at the ceiling and parts of that here. So, I mean, again, the artistry as part of it is pretty fascinating. And you were mentioning as well that there's actually an impressive number of bricks in the building.
1 million bricks in the Plaza Theater.
I did not know that.
Just a little known fact.
Again, that's Mary Jo Melby, also joining us here in studio. Jay Duncan with the Sunset Film Society, and also on the phone, Doug Pullen there with the El Paso Community Foundation. We got to take that next break of the hour here right now. Coming out, we'll talk more about some of the movies, some of the premieres that happen, and some of the major events. Again, great archival pictures. If you're not following us over on social media, consider it, particularly for today. But you can, of course, go back and see this episode after it's aired, as long with all of our other ones that we have done on social media. So got to take that break right now. Coming out of this break with more of the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Hueco Tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
The podcast Wheel Woman tells the true story of Georgia Durrani, all-American girl, world-famous model, and getaway driver for the mob. Wheel Woman takes you on a thrilling ride through the unlikely life of one beautiful, smart, fascinating woman.
The rules were simple. Don't talk to anyone. Don't ask questions. Always park a block away. Make sure you're not being followed.
Listen to Wheel Woman on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Search, browse, and email privately, all for free with the DuckDuckGo app.
Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 on News Radio 690 KTSM, breaking down the impact of the news on the borderland and beyond. Brought to you in part by Mission Del Rey Southwest, souvenirs, gifts, and decor. That's Talk El Paso, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Now you can get generic Viagra shipped to your door for about $2 a pill. Get the same impact for less. Call Steelman Pills now and get the same blue pill for about $2 a pill. Call now for the 50-pill special and save even more. Plus, get a free bonus. 800-213-9258. 800-213-9258. 800-213-9258. 800-213-9258.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
Big news. Greta Van Susteren is back. She's the host of Newsmax's new show, The Record with Greta Van Susteren. Starting June 14th, Greta reports on the really big stories you need to know. She's smart, tough, and always fair. Get the latest info about her new show. Text the word Greta to 39747. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax. Find it on all major cable systems and streaming platforms. Don't miss this. Text Greta to 39747 now. Texting enrolls for automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Dear Dad, this year we're making Father's Day extra special with the Untucked shirts that you love. Untucked has the styles that'll make your summer great, from wrinkle-free shirts to performance polos and more. They're designed to be worn untucked, so you can always feel sharp even at your most casual. Father's Day is June 19th. If you still need a gift, check out the new summer styles at untucked.com or one of 80+ Untucked stores. Use code DAD for 20% off your first purchase. Untucked shirts, designed to be worn untucked.
Blue Star Medicated Ointment gets 5-star reviews from our loyal users for fast relief of the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
Blue Star soothes insect bites and fungal infections.
It really works on the summer rashes I get every year.
I had psoriasis on my elbows. Blue Star worked wonders.
Amazing stuff. Smear a bit on and the itch is gone.
Look for the white box with the blue star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Are you ready for summer? Wherever summer takes you, make sure you take your favorite radio station with you on your adventures with the free iHeartRadio app. That's right. No matter how far from home you travel, this station, the music you love, and the best podcasts in the world will be right there with you in your pocket.
Summer soundtrack.
Sunscreen, flip-flops, and the free iHeart app. Must-haves for any summer checklist. Download the free iHeart Radio app and discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love this summer.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you also very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A couple of partners in promoting and talking about local history we do like to mention, including those over at Celebrations of Our Mountains. You can find them at celebrationofourmountains.org, and they do a lot of great work and getting into the more of the natural history, but also general history and experiences in and around the region. Specifically, they got coming up next weekend, Saturday, June 11th, they got the Sunspot Observatory Tour being held by Heidi Sanchez. Later in the month, also a Mexican Revolution Tour with the Tom Lee Institute, and a whole lot more of events throughout pretty much the rest of the year here, including times when it makes a little bit more sense to get out into some of the more off the beaten path places, including Kilburns Hole, one we have coming up in November from them. So if you want to again see their full schedule, everything they got going on, celebrationofourmountains.org. And of course, I have to mention some of our friends here helping us with the program and promoting it. Our friends at Monterey Asset Management have, of course, changed their name, M1EP Management Corporation. So you can find them online at m1ep.com. That's m1ep.com. Or by giving them a call at 915-592-4549. That's 915-592-4549. And they do a lot of great work in helping with real estate investing if you're tired of the stock market, or maybe just say crypto if you got caught up in that as well. But yes, again, m1ep.com for M1EP Management Corporation. Getting back here live in the studio, of course, we are joined here by Mary Jo Melby and Jay Duncan. And over on the phone line, we do have Doug Pullen with the El Paso Community Foundation. Doug, thanks for sticking around with us.
Sure. Hey, can I offer a quick note on the concept of the theater?
Absolutely. That would be a great one to mention here.
We were talking about atmospheric movie palace. This was a phenomenon of the late 20s, and the innovator was a guy named John Everson. But W. Scott Dunn was the architect who designed the plaza in that vein as a Spanish hacienda. That's the concept. Mm-hmm. So when you walk in, you walk into the hacienda. If you go to the bar area, you're on the patio, and there's an original painting of Toledo, Spain on the wall there that dates back to the theater opening. Mm-hmm. And then the auditorium itself is the courtyard, and that's why you're under the stars and why you have the fake plants on the side.
I never actually knew where that painting was. I was never sure if it was real or just an imagined scene in the bar area you're talking about. Interesting to know that that's actual place, or was representative of an actual place in one point in time.
Toledo, Spain, or Toledo, it's the inspiration. It's colonial Spain, 1600s, the era when the Spanish came through this part of the country the first time.
Interesting. I'll have to try to see if we can match up that picture at some point. I've always wondered if it could be matched up with any landscape you could see today or historically. So that concept, it makes a little bit clearer sense. I mean, if you're walking through it and seeing all the parts of it, it's clearly a unified thematic design that has, I think, been imitated, not great, if not exactly this location. The concept has been imitated other places in more modern times. That has not been anywhere near well as executed, I have to say, but I might be slightly biased that way. So looking at, we got some of the pictures up of it. One thing we were talking about during the break is a bit about the construction and how, of course, it was slightly different back in the day. There is this picture of a monumental steel door that is, or was at the time, the doorway into the projection room. Now, the question we have, Doug, is do you know if that is still in place or if that still exists?
I don't think it's there anymore. The booth is very much there. It's about 50 feet wide. 50 feet across, but I don't remember ever seeing a massive steel door in there, so it must be long gone.
That makes a level of sense here because, of course, Jay, we were talking during the break that such a door as this we've been showing on screen, I mean, it looks halfway towards like a vault door, essentially. It's just missing the giant wheel spinning on it because it is heavy, barred, and has various different sliding locks, it looks like, on it. And that was for, at that point in time, a very specific purpose.
That's right. That's right. Because all film was nitrate. It was, before safety film came along in early 50s. Highly combustible, very dangerous. And so the steel door was actually to keep a fire that could break out from going into the audience. So the projectionist was always at risk, but it would be self-contained within the booth and to keep it from spreading because things like that happen from time to time.
Yeah, there's some more modern movies, the title of which I am not going to say so as not to get in trouble with the FCC, but Inglorious Person Without a Father is the way I'm going to say the name of it here. And it's actually both a mentioned and somewhat of a plot point in that movie, so modern audiences might be slightly familiar with this concept of, nitrites. The actual comparison I've heard is that as combustible as gunpowder, because gunpowder, of course, isn't strictly an explosive. It builds up a pressure wave, if you want to get technical about it, because of the very, very rapid combustion that happens, which is why it's then used as a to launch projectiles. But nitrile film could rapidly burn, and having a lot of it in a place like a projection booth, an errant spark could really ruin a day. And I guess I hope there was some hazard pay there for projectionists.
Yeah, really, you'd think there should be. And with those carbon arcs, that's a hot fire, basically, always nearby. Another film that some people may find it mentioned in is Cinema Paradiso. The Italian film where a fire does break out in this little Italian village. And it's a wonderful little film with the little boy's admiration for the projectionist, kind of the hero worship. But it does happen there. And of course, it's set back at that time prior to safety film. So it was all highly combustible.
I think people, you're putting a new spin on the mild trope of the film got stuck and it burns through the film. Sometimes it's even used in movies and productions these days. That now I'm realizing was a much more dangerous event than just a weird little edit to be made, an effect to be made here, because that could have been the start of the fire that burned down the building that was being shown in reality.
That's very true. That's very true. And of course, this nitrate goes through stages. It becomes like a jelly. If it decomposes, it becomes a powder, and it's all highly flammable. It's in a steel can, but that's why a lot of films never survived. Like a lot of the silent films, very, very small portion of them have actually survived through the years because they did decompose into powder.
That without preservation efforts, and that's one of the reasons they were in those steel canisters, among other things. So that's fascinating on its own right here. I want to mention some of the people that are chiming in over on the social media here today, because I don't want to miss out on some of them. We've had a lot of people chiming in from around the world and around the country here. A little bit earlier in the program, Flavia Jimenez and Monica Cervantes chiming in from Las Cruces, New Mexico. Of course, we have Barbara Given-Bainey chiming in from our great partners in history over at Remember in El Paso when Rick Naheda as well. Michelle Chesser over from Fredericksburg, Virginia, and Flavia Jimenez saying that actually also his father was the El Paso high school class of 58, and appreciating the mustache of your grandfather. Mary Jo will pop that up here again in a second because, that deserves another good turn because that is a great mustache. Also, Maria Barragan from West Valley City, Utah. Robbie Flores joining us, as well as Rose Rodriguez. And some other interesting comments. Willie Henry Me saying that this theater looks like the Lensic Theater in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And at least a couple of questions. And yes, Richard Marquez also chiming in over on the YouTube page. But a couple of points and questions. Barbara Given-Bainey mentioning that the building was asked about, could have been the Mills building, but I think we did solve that question, that it was actually the Paso del Norte Hotel. And Keith Wild then letting us know that he is Facebooking only because he wants to see the pictures. Again, if we're going to pick a show to try us out over on the social media, this would be the one to do so because we're popping up and we got a lot more to come. We also have Dale Hansen from Shirts, Texas, and of course Richard Marquez. And no, we did not forget about you. So a lot of commentary coming in there. And so one question actually coming in from Patrick Nunez, besides Buddy Rogers, what other musicians of the time performed there? And I mean, it was a performance venue. It was vaudeville to an extent,
Sure.
back in particularly in its earlier days. So, I mean, I'm sure there is quite the list.
Well, there is, and and there's a lot of people that you wouldn't associate that may have come, like Blackstone the Magician. In fact, there was a trap door cut into the stage floor at that time for him to make an elephant disappear.
An elephant?
Yes.
They got an elephant in there.
That's right.
Okay.
And so he was here. Sally Rand, the bubble dancer, was here. And I think that she lived to never forget her appearance here, because she told them, whatever you do, do not shine that spotlight while I'm behind the bubble, because it gives away the illusion. And they shine the spotlight.
Of course.
So she left with a memory of her appearance here.
Supposedly she went after the spotlight got too.
I think she marched up to the projection booth. Actually, yeah, she was small, but she was wiry. And so I think she let him know what.
So that guy had some trouble. Yeah, yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, there were
performed there too, right?
I'm sorry.
Mae West performed.
Absolutely, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Mae West. John Wayne, I think, made an appearance, and then he came back. In later years, with
Mm-hmm.
Hondo, which had its premiere at the Plaza, a 3D movie. He and Ward Bond came here, and there's a picture showing them arriving at the airport,
Mm-hmm.
greeted by the El Paso sheriff.
The sheriff's posse at the
time. Bill Bowling there. I guess he would be the one just to the right of John Wayne, kind of lower there. Was the manager of the LNA at that point, which became the Capri, which was in El Paso's only Cinerama theater. And I worked with him for 2 summers. So, some familiar faces on some of these folks.
And there's this one point, because it hasn't been even in more modern media really represented, that even the experience of going to the movies. I mean, again, there were the performances that would happen of the actual physical live stuff using the stage. But when it came to the actual theatrical, the actual movies being played, that was not exactly the experience we have today. I mean, you can get hints of it, because I remember seeing as a young person an old Hitchcock. I want to say it was maybe For the Birds, but I might be slightly projecting here today with the fact that you got that great picture of the premiere of The Birds there. But it was a line that baffled me until I finally looked at it up as an older person. See it from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you'd see it. That's how they start. What does that even mean? It was just completely foreign to my experience in movies, because they used to kind of constantly just have stuff with one screen. You can't say, okay, everyone leave this theater, we're starting the one in the next theater. You had to kind of constantly have something.
Absolutely. I'm not guilty of it, but that was part of the situation at the time. You'd go maybe half into the movie and then stay to where you came in. But you're right. They didn't just seat per show. You could go in the morning and stay all day if you wanted to and watch it over and over and over. They didn't clean the theater between shows. It was a different movie going experience. And of course, they had back to school shows, schools out shows. Usually a canned good would get you admission. And you could just enjoy a Three Stooges and a cartoon carnival, going on for hours. And then go over and have a Lucky Boy across the street, or the Como's at the time was over by Payless Drugstore. And of course, all that's gone now, but it all happened right around that period,
Well, the founder of KTSM used to perform in the kids shows on Saturdays as Carl the Cowhand.
Carl the Cowhand, absolutely. Carl Weiler, which is a nice shot of him there. And that would have been from 1942. I think Moontide was playing at the Plaza at that point, and that's him with some of the KTSM, I guess. They have KTSM clothing on.
Yeah, KTSM as in the radio station at that point, and under very conspicuously a buy war bonds banner there.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
So dating that absolutely here. So due for that next break here already, having a great conversation with some great pictures going on as we are joined here in studio by Mary Jo Melby, Jay Duncan, and over on the phone we do have Doug Pullen. We're going to be visiting with Doug Pullen a little bit more as we have him toward the end of this hour and talking more about the history of the Plaza Theater, getting into some of those premieres. We have a name you might recognize, even if I'll freely admit I didn't know about the movie before that, but we'll get into that and a whole lot more after this break. Here with more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
As a marketer, you want to reach everyone, adults, teens, millennials, but it's not like these groups all hang out in the same place, right? Actually wrong. They're all right here, listening to radio commercials just like this one. Radio ads connect with 93% of Americans every week. That's more than Google, more than Facebook, more than TV. In fact, radio reaches 20% more millennials than TV. Want more of the people you want to talk to all in one place? Visit iHeartAdvertising.com and get AM/FM working for you. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
Buying a diamond from a certified gemologist appraiser is all the advice you need to ensure you are making the right choice.
When it comes to an expert to guide you, visit SusanEisen.com. One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
Do you have jewelry left over from a previous relationship? Now is the time to let us make you the best offer we can using our worldwide research.
When it comes to getting the most for your gold, visit SusanEisen.com.
Tune in to the El Paso History Radio Show this Saturday, 10 to noon, here on 690 AM with your host, Andrew J. Polk, brought to you in part by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Donovan Drive. That's the El Paso History Radio Show, 10 a.m. Saturday, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
We've had a great first hour here with our guests. Again, joining us live in studio, we've had Mary Jo Melby and Jay Duncan with the Sunset Film Society himself, as well as over on the phone line, we've had Doug Pullen here. Doug's going to be leaving us at the end of this hour. So, Doug, one last time, of course, we're talking about the history of the Plaza Theater, but of course, we have the ability for people to go and experience the location itself, that experience of going into it and seeing the design and concept of the places you were mentioning with the upcoming Plaza Classic Film Festival.
Yeah, well, one thing you should know about is that we do public tours.
Oh, that's true.
Plaza, usually at noon on Tuesdays. We have one this coming Tuesday, and I'll be leading it. They're free, and then they'll come back in July. So it's a great way to kind of check it out in advance of the festival or an event you're going to go to. During the festival, we don't do any tours, but we certainly, get a lot of questions about the theater and try to answer them the best we can, because it's 92 years of history in that theater, and it's one of the only theaters in the country or world actually that has the original theater organ in it, the Weiler Mighty Wurlitzer pipe organ.
The Mighty Wurlitzer that people in, again, the interim times here before the revitalization of the theater may have remembered being in Sunland Park Mall. That was my first experience with it back in the day, as it got moved out a bit, but glad that it's back in its original home here. So again, the Plaza Classic Film Festival, among the other things going on, July 28th through August 7th. And again, one of the major guests you're going to be having coming out here, F. Murray Abraham, for his both big over his career movies and more recent ones as well. So for the full schedule, people can check that out at, of course, plazaclassic.com. So Doug, thanks a lot for being with us here first hour to talk about a lot of these events and even some more of the information about how people can experience the area.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And one quick teaser, we expect to be announcing next week that Rita Moreno will be coming in, and she is going to appear July 28th with Singing in the Rain, which was her first non-ethnic role. And then she'll be back the next night with the new version of West Side Story. She was an executive producer on that, and they wrote a new character for her to play.
Excellent there. So, Doug, thanks for being with us here. There's the music. So we got to take that break for the top of the hour right now. But coming back, we'll be talking more about the history of the Plaza Theater with our guests here in studio. So stay tuned for more of the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM. See you after the top of the hour news.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Radio Show. There's another hour to go, so please stay tuned. This hour is brought to you by Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the Juan and only Margarita, by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850, by M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549, by Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. We'll be right back after the news, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso. The El Paso History Show with Andrew J. Polk is 10 a.m. this Saturday about the Shakespeare, New Mexico ghost town and how it was part of El Paso's Old West life. The El Paso History Show is sponsored by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant in Canutillo, Mission Del Rey Southwest for gifts and decor, and by M1 EP Management Corporation, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on News Radio 690 and streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
iHeartRadio Earth is here with little tips for a healthier planet. Less than 1% of water on Earth is drinkable, and humans are using it faster than nature can replenish it. Reduce the amount of water you use in the bathroom by taking shorter showers and turning the water off while you brush your teeth. Brought to you by iHeartRadio Earth and the National Environmental Education Foundation. To find more tips for smarter, sustainable living or to take action in your own community, go to iHeartRadio.com/Earth.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. We make car buying fast, fun, and easy. And due to high demand, we need trades. So we'll do whatever it takes to get you out of your old vehicle into a new car, truck, or SUV today.
Even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth, We want it, so you can get huge savings on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. For a limited time, get $4,000 off MSRP on the all-new 2022 full-size Jeep Wagoneer SUV with third-row seating and up to $7,000 off select new Ram trucks. Super low 2.9% APR for 72 months on the all-new 2022 Dodge Charger. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Trade and upgrade for less during the Make the Switch event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun at I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 2.9% APR is $15.15 per thousand finance on select vehicles. 0 down with approved credit. Offers not combined.
NBC News Radio, I'm Julie Ryan. Police are investigating a shooting that left one dead and multiple people wounded at a strip mall. Sergeant Williams says the cause of the shooting was an argument that escalated into violence.
Somebody showed up. There was an altercation that escalated into a shooting. Many rounds were shot into this crowd of people as everyone fled the area.
Officers responded to the North Phoenix strip mall just after 1 a.m. Saturday and found multiple people with gunshot wounds. So far, no suspects have been arrested. The father of a 10-year-old Texas girl killed in the Uvalde mass shooting is going after the company that made the gun used in the attack. Lawyers for Alfred Garza are asking gun maker Daniel Defense to provide information about its marketing to teens and children. Garza's daughter was one of 19 children killed when a teenage gunman opened fire with a semi-automatic rifle last week at Robb Elementary School. A staff member of the school who hid during the shooting is also preparing to file suit. Production resumes today at a baby formula plant in Michigan. Michael Kastner reports.
Operations at the Abbott Nutrition plant in Sturgis have been closed the past 4 months over possible product contaminants. The FDA has concluded its probe of the facility, allowing work to resume. The closing of the Sturgis plant has been cited as one of the reasons for the shortage of baby formula across the U.S.
The Navy says a pilot is dead after the crash of an F-18 fighter jet near an air station in Lemoore, California. The Super Hornet went down near the city of Trona in the Mojave Desert around 2:30 p.m. local time. No one on the ground was injured. Navy officials did not disclose the pilot's identity as they notify family members. The Mega Millions jackpot is getting bigger. Lottery officials say no one picked all 6 numbers in last night's drawing. That means Tuesday's jackpot will be worth $207 million. As for tonight's Powerball drawing, that's worth $184 million. You're listening to the latest on NBC News Radio.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. Happy weekend. We've got fairly nice weather coming up, although you can expect hotter temperatures. So those showers that we had are now a thing of the past, at least for the near future, as temperatures once again become unseasonably hot with the return of triple digits and overnight lows in the 70s.
Ready to do this.
Get ready. Our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back.
This festival is insane to bring all these different types of music together.
Can you believe all the artists performing?
The best fans in the world with the biggest stars from all walks of music under one roof.
Be here as our 2022 iHeartRadio Music Festival lineup is revealed Tuesday morning at 6.
What's all the buzz about cleaning your nose, nasal hygiene, and Navage? The science is simple. Your nose is the body's air filter for trapping allergens and viruses, but it's not perfect. Like washing your hands and brushing your teeth, it's time to start cleaning your nose too. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril to the back of the nose where most germs and viruses multiply, then flushes them out the other nostril before they reach your lungs. My name's Martin Hoke, and I didn't invent nasal irrigation. It's been around thousands of years. I did invent Navage to make it easy for everyone. In less than 30 seconds, you can clean your nose. And because it's all natural and drug-free, it's safe to use Navage every single day. Are you ready to join nearly 3 million people who use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier? At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Susan, I'm
I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code GOLD. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for a $5 bonus.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
News Radio 690 KTSM presents the second hour of the El Paso History Radio Show with your host, Andrew J. Polk, streaming live at KTSMradio.com. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. By Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the Juan and only Margarita. By M1EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, for El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. And now El Paso History with your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Starting off hour two here of the program, as we do, with an El Paso History Moment with documentary filmmaker Jackson Polk, talking this week about the, well, among other things, Hueco Tanks.
Rock art made by Native Americans provides a unique view of human history in the Southwest. And one of the most important rock art sites in all of North America is Hueco Tanks State Historic Site in far east El Paso County. For centuries, travelers have been attracted to this 860-acre formation of ancient volcanic rock. Rainwater seeps into the rocks and stays there for months in what are called huecos, or hollow places. Native Americans, Spanish explorers, passengers on the Butterfield stage, and cowboys all stopped at Hueco Tanks for water while traveling across the desert. There are mountains everywhere around El Paso, but there's nothing else like Hueco Tanks. Native Americans left behind many pictographs and petroglyphs, which are now protected for visitors to see. It's a very special place. It was a spiritual center for ancient people. Modern Indians still visit Hueco Tanks as a ceremonial center for their tribes, just as their ancestors did many years ago. Among the rock art there are about 200 native painted masks, the largest collection in North America. Some think the masks are actually portraits of people. Hueco Tanks State Historic Site is also a state park. It's a unique outdoor art gallery left for us to enjoy. You can visit by calling ahead for a reservation. I'm Jackson Polk with a history moment for the El Paso History Radio Show.
And of course, we often mention some of our great partners in local history there, including Barbara Given-Bainey, the operator of the Facebook group Remember in El Paso When, which we are, of course, also streaming on today. You can go there for archive pictures galore. They have 33,000 plus members and a long time, of course, a lot of information going on there. But if you're going to use their pictures, they do ask that you give them credit because they get put a lot of effort into them. So, of course, mentioning there the chief admin, owner, and historian Barbara Given-Bainey, affectionately known as BGB, as well as admins Rick Duncan, Rick Nahara, Margaret D. Smith, and Paul Louie, and moderators Ben Vincent and Al Lowe. A couple other partners and promoters of our history we need to mention here, of course, Rick Kern's podcast, Talk and Rock Radio. Go to talkandrockradio.com to see what he's putting on there. A lot of interesting performances and such all the time, as well as, of course, a partner on the show here, Patrick Tuttle Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. You can give them a call at 915-588-1850, 915-588-1850. Been having some of my own experiences with them in this tumultuous real estate market. But of course, Patrick is an excellent realtor, done a lot of good work for our family. So you can go to him for El Paso homes for sale or rent, Again, that number, 915-588-1850. But joined here back in studio, of course, we do have live with us right now Mary Jo Melby, and we also have Jay Duncan of Jay's Picks, Flicks, and, of course, the Sunset Film Society. So thank you very much for sticking around with us for hour two.
Oh, of course.
As we're talking about the history of the Plaza Theater, we have a lot of comments coming in that I'm going to be remiss if we don't get to a little bit of. Mentioning some of these experiences here, among other many people commenting a little bit earlier in the show. Dale Hansen II mentioned that we would take the bus, the El Paso City lines from Morningside Heights to downtown and go to the Plaza. 5 cents for the bus each way. Forget what admission to the Plaza was, but 25 cents seems about right. Great times. And that was something you were mentioning, and you as well, Mary Jo, about how, the haggling of allowance money at that point in time was a very important thing, determining your social schedule, essentially.
Renegotiations were in place. But it amazes me how young we were when we were allowed to go downtown. We were 7 and 8 years old and going down with our friends on the bus. I remember when the bus fare went up, that was a major negotiation. And it expanded eventually, but we were just little guys going downtown by ourselves.
I mean, things used to be different in a lot of ways. We also have Daniel Lehman chiming in from Tucson. Michelle Chesser saying, saw that this is Cinerama at the Plaza in the 1960s on a Saturday afternoon. Lots of kids getting sick. Also remember the several Mondo Caney movies there, probably not saying that right, but between shows, the wonderful and very loud organ playing, our favorite snack bar treat, a huge dill pickle and a wax paper sleeves. You could make it last the entire show by just sucking on it. They still do. The giant pickles in a bag are still, so not exactly the wax paper sleeve, but those are still around essentially these days.
They are. They've become a concession standard, I think,
Yeah. So we can confluences to the modern day here. And Dale Hounson, I'm remembering, I remember the organ here. Of course, it's loud and impressive. Angie Salazar chiming in from Pueblo, West Colorado. And Cliff Seaman chiming in that back in the early 70s, Jan Wolfe directed a vaudeville show called White's Scandals at the Plaza Theater. He was given the role of Al Jolson, and it was a treasured moment in time for him. That is, a vaudeville revival in the 70s. That sounds very interesting. Dale Hansen letting I know that the time for his time there was in the mid-60s. Also, we have Melissa Sargent chiming in from Conroe, Texas, enjoying the show. Keith Walden as well. And Dale Hansen saying, went downtown alone at different times. And Rick Garvin, who was actually my elementary school orchestra teacher. Hi there, saying, not sure if Weiler Wurlitzer pipe organ has been mentioned. It's one of the very few theater organs that are still playable in their original location. The El Paso Community Foundation is to be commended for the upkeep and tuning of the organ. It is used for the film festival and is used with the El Paso Symphony, which was used in the April concerts and the Christmas concerts. And he is fortunate to play the organ. Absolutely here. A great performance he does down there. So, we talked about it a little bit here, but having someone, the operator of it, chime in is, thank you very much for your commentary on that as well. And Dale Hansen mentioned they used to sneak up to the balcony in the Plaza Theater as well here. A lot of memories of such a place here. And again, from people of a certain age, like my generation or younger, it may have seemed like it was almost on the brink of going away at a certain point. And it may have been if it weren't for the effort of a lot of committed El Pasoans to keeping it and redoing it, among other things. Again, thanks to having on Doug Pullen with the El Paso Community Foundation from the first hour, talking about, of course, the upcoming Plaza Classic Film Festival, because, among other things, they're refurbishing, refinishing, keeping a lot of original stuff as much as possible, because it would have been tempting to just strip it all out, but also then expanding the theater area and back, because, sure, when it was designed at the time, and we got some of those great pictures from its constructions that will pop up again here real quick. It was built and designed as the purpose, a theater temple, essentially, kind of like you were talking about, but it wasn't necessarily of full functionality, even by theater standards in the modern era. And I'm talking about like theatrical plays. And that's one of the things that was done was kind of expanding the actual back area, allowing for sets and things to be done. So it's even more functional than it ever was these days.
That's right. Yes, it's compatible now with Broadway shows. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they didn't have the depth and the height, I think, for that. It would have been, theatrical to the sense of, stage shows and things like that. I was in Showboat at the Plaza when we were trying to save it from 1974 to 1976, and people like Ken Lettner directed it. It was all done in El Paso. It was local. We had what's the traditional drink for Christmas?
Eggnog?
No. Older.
Eggnog with whiskey?
No, but that sounds good. Older. Anyway, we had that at the concession stand.
Mhm.
And then we took it to Albuquerque and did the performance there too, but it started at the Plaza. Again, we were involved in trying to save it from the wrecking ball. And ironically, we found out through architectural engineers that came in with a clipboard and spending hours and hours and going through it and everything. We thought, we were expecting the worst. What kind of life does the theater have? And they said, well, it's dirty. It needs a good cleaning. Structurally, probably 100 to 150 years, because it was built on the scale and of European cathedral, and with a steel beam and so forth.
Again, that impressive beam, that 40 plus ton beam. I mean,
it was built to last. And ironically, when others after our involvement from 74 to 76 said, well, let's tear it down, they found out they couldn't, because they couldn't tear it down because it was structurally so sound, and it was right up against the Mills building, that they'd have to blow it up, and they couldn't do that because of the surrounding, so they were stuck with it. So they said, okay, let's make a parking garage out of it. And and my thoughts were, I'd like to park next to the chandelier. I mean, that was the thinking at the time. There were people strictly from a business standpoint, that how much money can we make with this facility?
That would have been the tragedy.
It truly would have, yeah.
And then there were others that, artistically and culturally, we have something to be very proud of. Let's preserve this. Let's find a use for this. So the community foundation with the deep pockets and so forth, that they had, were able to, I think, put another, was it $38 million into the restoration. And the building, by the way, just cost $1 million to build in 1929, which was when $1 million was worth $1 million.
I would say that there's inflation for you, among other things, but also restoration is
absolutely
and that
intense
was
process
during the Depression too. So that was a lot of money.
Ooh, that was a lot of money at the point there. And something actually, we actually have a couple of comments on the drink you were mentioning there. Flaco Jimenez guessing cider, and Michelle Chester saying wassail potentially.
That's
one of those.
the one.
That's the one. There you go.
Yeah, because we found an old recipe and we made it at the concession stand and actually had it available in conjunction with the Showboat experience.
Okay.
Not that it had anything to do with Showboat, but it was a concession item.
Why not?
During a
Made
Christmas
everybody
season.
happy.
Yeah, during a Christmas season.
Barbara Gavani was guessing a hot buttered rum, more in my vein there of the bourbon in your eggnog, I guess. But one other memory here coming in, Angie Salazar saying, great memories of going down to see the movies at the Plaza with my family and Beth friend Ruth Calhoun Ramirez in the 50s and 60s rode the Beaumont and Grandview buses. Ruth and I would act like princesses while in the beautiful Plaza Theater with their beautiful stairs as well. And Michelle saying, took the bus, I think, on Trowbridge and transferred to 5 Points to downtown and then the Plaza. So a lot of great memories there. And actually, Mary Jo, we were mentioning a little bit in between breaks here. We keep having these long conversations during the breaks that we're trying to then bring on here because it's still interesting. You mentioned that when they were doing the construction of it, they found its own bit of history underneath the site, right?
That's right. During the digging, they found the marker in New Mexico, which was very surprising to them, but it really shouldn't have been because the river was changing dramatically all in that area because it was before Elephant Butte Dam was built, and it was just changing constantly. But they found the marker in New Mexico as they did the renovation.
I'm not surprised there because, I mean, they definitely got down into the ground. As you can see, again, this is the picture looking for what would be the stage area out towards what would be the balcony area, except you see in the background there, the Paso del Norte Hotel. And so, getting down into there makes some sense that you might run into things you wouldn't expect, including boundary markers. And yeah, before the channelization of the Rio Grande and the control of it at Elephant Butte, well, there's a reason that, particularly in the Union Plaza area, that you're actually going on the second floor of a lot of buildings because they built it up to cover the first floor because they kept getting flooded. So that's just a little bit of the history we're going to get into. We've got some of the premieres we need to be talking about. You've got some great pictures from that we'll be getting to over on our, social media pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv is where you can find us, either under the El Paso History Radio Show or Andrew J. Polk. A lot of great comments we'll get into as well. So we got to take that first break of this hour right now. Don't worry, we got a lot more to get to here as we're continuing to be joined here in studio by Jay Duncan and Mary Jo Melby. But back after this quick break with more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Hueco Tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso.
Every child is different, and learning isn't always easy. But when you find the right teacher in the right school with the right curriculum, one day it just clicks. The right school for your child is out there, and the good news is it's only a click away. Texas Online Preparatory School is a tuition-free online school with state-licensed teachers that give students the personalized attention they need to succeed. K12.com/Texas Online, where education clicks.
Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 on News Radio 690 KTSM, breaking down the impact of the news on the borderland and beyond. Brought to you in part by Mission Del Rey Southwest, Souvenirs, Gifts, and Decor. That's Talk El Paso, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Everybody needs an edge. The other guy is working on his edge right now, whether you have one or not. Testosterone levels are at an all-time low historically, and individual T levels in men decline 1% every year with age. There's a new champion of natural testosterone boosters, and it's called CHOQ, C-H-O-Q. 100% natural herbal extracts with game-changing effects on your energy, mood, and focus. CHOQ Daily's main ingredient has been clinically studied to boost testosterone 20% in 90 days. Supercharge your masculinity with higher T and a massive boost of energy by taking CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack every day. Take the 90-day CHOQ Challenge and reap the benefits of the reigning champion of natural men's health with CHOQ's Male Vitality Stack. For a very limited time only, CHOQ, C-H-O-Q, is giving our listeners a 30% discount with promo code USA. That's CHOQ.com, code USA, for 30% off while supplies last.
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an extreme flash flood.
Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Talk to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso Souvenirs, Decor, and Gift Shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. Got to tell you a little bit about what we got coming up for you on future shows here. Coming up next weekend, we're going to be talking with Keith Wildon and more about the Shakespeare Ghost Town, both the events they hold out there, and how you can get your own real view and visit some literal history and also some of the development of the area and getting into some of the larger development, resource extraction, etc. of the larger borderland region. So look forward to that next weekend on the program here. Also, of course, one more sponsor to remind you about, Mission Del Rey Southwest. You can go there. Great place to take out-of-town visitors for souvenirs, jewelry, gifts, and decor, both for yourself and for visitors, because they have some great items out there. They have been fully restocked with a lot of local products. So you not even just get the visual flavor, but the literal flavor of the Southwest in their stock there. So you definitely want to go and check them out. You can go to missiondelrey.com. Again, missiondelrey.com. Or again, visit their 12,000 square foot showroom over there on Lee Trevino. Mention the El Paso History Radio Show for a discount. Give them a call at 915-440-2140. 915-440-2140. And again, missiondelrey.com. But joined here again in studio, as we have in this hour and portion of the show, by Mary Jo Melby and Jay Duncan. Jay Duncan, of course, with the Sunset Film Society, that I'm still assuming, given the interest in these kind of things and the difficulties that have been had with performative media in general, anything outside of, the small screen in the home, that it'll be coming back before too long. But we were talking a little bit about, of course, a lot about the history and the construction of the literal area of the Plaza Theater that will be the host of the Plaza Classic Film Festival starting later this month. But there have been more actual literal premieres happening there as well. So we got on the screen right now the kind of further back view of the Plaza Theater, showing that kind of cramped actual entryway. If you think about it, it's for how big of a theater is, it's pretty narrow entryway, but it's got its own grand entrance enough there. But then it's had some interesting displays on it. So we got here the picture of the world premiere. It may sound like a world premiere of El Paso. What do you mean? El Paso's been here, but there was the movie El Paso.
Absolutely. 1949 film with John Payne, not John Wayne.
Right, like one letter off.
Right, and there's an original 22 by 28 half sheets, what this called, movie advertising. But it was in Cinecolor. And Gabby Hayes was also in it, and Sterling Hayden, and some of the stars came. Sterling Hayden, I know for sure, in that one shot, I think. You can see his back because he's broad-shouldered and he's standing on the stage surrounded by throngs of people.
Yeah, so this looks like a stage more or less in the middle of the street that was still there at this point in time, right in front of the Plaza Theater, and then just mobbed with people all the way from the doors of the plaza to where it looks like the camera would have been more or less in Pioneer Plaza. It looks from about there, and it's just a sea of people. So it drew people out.
Oh yes. It was a world premiere.
Yeah.
Not just a local premiere or a Southwestern premiere, though we've had those too.
Yeah.
But this was the first time it was shown publicly anywhere. And that's one of the title. That's the title card from the movie in Cinecolor. You can see that it's very vibrant, very, very colorful. It's not
very
technical.
cool. It was air conditioned.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Another first for the Plaza Theater. It was the first refrigerated air conditioning in a public building, I think, in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When you think about it, this was all very, very grand and very special, and especially for El Paso at that time. I don't know what the population was in 1930, but maybe 100,000? I don't know. And you think, well, why did they go all out? I think somebody had vision that it would become something, that
and
El Paso would.
You're close here. According to census records, 10241 in 1930
Is that
was the
right?
population of El Paso here. Power of the internet. So that's interesting. And kind of as we were mentioning, how the marketing had to change over the years of theaters, because I've had reason to looking into, this era, among other things. And so the idea of there being refrigerated air or even just air conditioning of any kind was a draw, because at this point in time, think about it, particularly in the 50s there, when this was, late 40s, early 50s, there was starting to be more at home media. Usually entertainment was something you had to go out and get, and it was now being drawn a little bit more towards the home. Radio, of course, was there. Music playback systems were coming about, but also TV was coming in. So to draw people out, give them something they can't get anywhere else, air conditioning.
That's right. And they had to, as we entered into the early 50s, theaters in general had to find ways to get people out of their houses because they were watching television.
Mm-hmm.
And what can we show that's special that they can't see at home? Well, then you had 3D come in 1953 with films like House of Wax or Creature from the Black Lagoon. You couldn't see that on television. So you tried to do that. And then also in 1953, 20th Century Fox released the first CinemaScope film, The Robe. And they advertised that as the picture you can see without those glasses, because it was giving certain people stigmatisms, that had stigmatism. They were giving them headaches.
And I don't think anyone of a certain young age might not be totally out of place by thinking, wait, 3D was a thing back then, because they think of it as, a more modern thing that has been more interesting attempts. I mean, the experimentation within cinema has certainly continued, but this was a different era of its own. There was a lot of different attempts. We've been describing a few here. And so was I right in saying that Hondo was actually one of the movies in 3D?
That was a 3D film. John Wayne and Ward Bond and so forth. And again, that picture represents their arrival for the premiere showing in El Paso. Not the world premiere, but showing at the Plaza. So we got, we got some stars coming in for that, escorted and greeted by the El Paso Sheriff's Posse. And so it was filmed largely in Mexico. But it was, it had a respectable budget, had some big names, and it did show at the Plaza Theater originally.
In 3D with those glasses, as you mentioned here. Everything old is new again is another way to put it here.
Right.
So we've got to take that next break right now. Coming out of this break, we'll talk more about both the premieres and movies that were shot in El Paso that were a part of what we had here, and a whole lot more, and some more great scenes and pictures. So stay tuned as we'll continue to have Jay Duncan and Mary Jo Melby here with us in studio with more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina serves the old Griggs Mexican food recipes in a new location at 6761 Doniphan Drive. Enjoy great New Mexican food with cold beer and the one and only margarita from the cantina. The managers and cooks from the original Griggs restaurant serve tacos, combination plates, and sopapillas. Get the best Mexican food in the valley at Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant and Cantina, 6761 Doniphan, near Loop 375. Call 877-2152.
Many retired El Paso area homeowners don't know where to begin when it comes to downsizing and selling their home. Patrick Tuttle and his Legacy Home team follow a proven process to help retired homeowners sell faster and for more money. Call Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850 today and get your home sold faster and for more money. That's Patrick Tuttle at 915-588-1850. Call him today.
On the new true crime podcast Betrayal, a woman chronicles her fairy tale romance gone horribly wrong. Her husband's secret life destroyed their marriage, shook their community, and ultimately sent him to prison.
Going through Spence's emails, Snapchat, whatever I could get my hands on. Just a punch in the gut every single time.
Listen to Betrayal on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by DuckDuckGo. Search, browse, and email privately, all for free with the DuckDuckGo app.
M1EP.com. Superior multifamily property management services citywide.
One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
I was born in El Paso, and it's always been my home. Get to know us. We'll be your most trusted resource for buying jewelry and for all your jewelry needs.
When it comes to a jeweler you can trust, visit SusanEisen.com. One-on-one with Susan Eisen.
It takes me hundreds of hours each year for my continuing education on grading and pricing diamonds, and our focus is on providing value for you.
When it comes to the best diamond advice, visit SusanEisen.com.
Hey El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Southern Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. We make car buying fast, fun, and easy. And due to high demand, we need trades. So we'll do whatever it takes to get you out of your old vehicle into a new car, truck, or SUV today.
Even if you owe thousands more than your trade is worth, we want it. So you can get huge savings on every new and certified pre-owned vehicle in our huge inventory. For a limited time, get $4,000 off MSRP on the all-new 2022 full-size Jeep Wagoneer SUV with third row seating and up to $7,000 $1,000 off select new Ram trucks. Super low 2.9% APR for 72 months on the all-new 2022 Dodge Charger. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Trade and upgrade for less during the Make the Switch event at Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun at I-10 and Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso strong. Includes factory rebate at dealer discount plus TTNL. 2.9% APR is $15.15 per thousand finance on select vehicles. Zero down with approved credit. Offers not combined.
Your next El Paso Locomotives game is this Saturday. Come cheer on the Locomotives as they take on Hartford Atlantic at Southwest University Park. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. and you won't want to be late for this matchup. Join the Locomotive newsletter and follow your team on Instagram and Twitter to never miss an update. See you at the game this Saturday.
Now you can get generic Viagra shipped to your door for about $2 a pill. Get the same impact for less. Call Steelman Pills now and get the same blue pill for about $2 a pill. Call now for the 50-pill special and save even more. Plus, get a free bonus. 800-213-9258. 800-213-9258. 800-213-9258. 800-213-9258.
Big news. Greta Van Susteren is back. She's the host of Newsmax's new show, The Record with Greta Van Susteren. Starting June 14th, Greta reports on the really big stories you need to know. She's smart, tough, and always fair. Get the latest info about her new show. Text the word Greta to 39747. Millions are making the switch to Newsmax. Find it on all major cable systems and streaming platforms. Don't miss this. Text Greta to 39747 now. Texting enrolls for automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate. 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Doniphan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for the El Paso History Radio Show, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of ways that you can see the show, the pictures we're talking about. No, we're not just trying to taunt you. We are putting them up over on our social media. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Find us either under the El Paso History Radio Show, El Paso History, or Andrew J. Polk. And you can see everything we're doing here and go back and view most previous episodes on most of those platforms as well. But of course, I have to tell you about some of our partners in promoting these things. This week, only in El Paso, Inc. One Afghan refugee has found a home on the campus of UTEP. Why the pop-up sneaker shop run by two El Paso teens will soon be coming to a close, and a new generation of El Paso trailblazers are making their mark on the LGBTQ community. El Paso's business journal, El Paso Inc., is available for home or business delivery and online at elpasoinc.com. And again, joined here in studio by Jay Duncan of the Sunset Film Society and Mary Jo Melby, talking about the history of the Plaza Theater. We had an interesting question come in right in the last segment. Rocky Jimenez asking, can you talk about the supposed haunting? Now, of course, downtown El Paso and many older locations in El Paso are noted as being inhabited by those that aren't strictly living. And I mean, the old library, El Paso High School, Loretto Academy come to mind immediately. I wasn't familiar with any particular stories about the Plaza Theater itself, but you were mentioning that there may have been a couple or so.
Well, again, it's been reported, though we saw nothing of it in our involvement for 2 years, but that's not to say it's not there. Mm-hmm. One thing, supposedly, I think a soldier who had something to drink, lost his footing in the balcony and went over the rail. And so he died. And a glowing cigarette supposedly can be seen floating to the water fountain that is no longer there, kind of in the alcove off the lobby. Another one is a sound of a bouncing ball and a little girl laughing which is pretty creepy just thinking
But
about
to say
it.
that's practically a trope at this point
Yeah.
in horror movie terms. Okay, so potentially, yeah, Keith Wilden mentioned there. Does he mean the man smoking a cigar in the balcony? I think that sounds very similar to what you're describing there. I mean, I think when we're talking about such phenomena, there's a little bit of interpretation open to it. So this may be the same thing here. Keith also mentioning back in the 90s, as the Community Foundation was preparing to begin restoration, he was able to go through the plaza. Even in the shape it was back then, it was an expressive experience. I think I had a similar-ish experience. Again, I was too young at that point to totally remember when that was, but I remember going in there, seeing some decrepit nature of the lack of upkeep that had happened with the building, as it had been more or less closed off for a decade or so. So seeing it as it is now, I'm very happy to do so, even with that memory. Flacco Meta saying thanks for the stories there. Hope that didn't creep you out too much. But of course, we're talking about a lot of the history of the area and a lot of the premieres happening. We talked about a couple that were either world premieres or regional premieres, like Hondo, but there was another premiere that you have mentioned here that was a movie that was actually shot in El Paso.
That's right. That's right. And what makes it unique, I think, of the movies that have been shot in El Paso, this one doesn't have anything to do with drug smuggling or border crossings and things. It utilized Fort Bliss in a very positive way, and this was during the Korean conflict.
Okay,
and so it was all shot, I believe, in 1954 in El Paso with some pretty big names.
Yeah, it's called Take the High Ground. And I want to say that, well, it was, I think, noted over in the group, I remember in El Paso one, that it was recently airing on one of the cable channels, such as like a Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah. It can be seen, and it is available on DVD. And it's worth seeing. It's got Richard Widmark and Carl Malden and Russ Tamblyn. Excuse me. And it's a very good look at Army boot camp, basically. With a fine director involved and filmed in color, and you can see the Fort Bliss as it appeared at that time with the way things appeared mountain-wise. That's not as developed and so forth.
Yeah, not as developed, and I want to say still with active use of the original Kasner Range at that point. Right. That's just, ever so slightly next to what we now know as Trans Mountain.
There you go.
And why there's only those two museums right off Trans Mountain, the El Paso Archaeological Museum and Wilderness Park, and of course the Border Patrol Museum, and not a lot else out there because they also still have those signs of unexploded ordnance, which is why you're not supposed to get off the road there, people. Just don't do it. It's a bad plan. The poppies are their own thing and are very specific, but there's a reason there's not construction there otherwise.
That's very true. That's very true. So mind those signs. Yes.
Yes. People have literally, had injuries caused by this. Dale Hansen mentioning, shot at Logan Heights on YouTube. I think, I'm sure there will be clips of something of there can compare some of the area there. But getting back to the Plaza Theater here, I mean, that was an interesting premiere, but also just some shots that you have both archived and that you've taken by yourself of the marquee and the very impressive front of the Plaza. As much as I may have done it a little bit of disservice calling it looking cramped. I mean, it kind of does when you look at it from the long view, seeing it in between those buildings there. It is between the, at that point, Oasis Cafe and the Mills building, as you were mentioning. But then when you look at the actual marquee, this one from the premiere of the movie The Alamo, also with John Wayne and his famous, coonskin cap, right. Davy Crockett. But then this one, you actually took yourself when the Birds was playing at the Plaza.
I did. I think that was April of '63, or maybe I have that confused with the Dr. No shot. One was a month apart from the other, but that's the original marquee, and that's when the Mills building or the Mills restaurant was still there.
Right.
I believe still the Arthur Murray Dance Studio was still upstairs above the Mills restaurant. But you can see that it was pretty grand. It was a show place, and that's what they call a front of house, where they put the stills from the movie out in front, where you could see, hey, I'm in for a very, very special movie here,
Were the Tom Lee movies premiered here?
I don't believe so. I don't know why. I know they were shown, like
such as if I'm remembering correctly, the Brave Bulls,
and The Big Country.
The Big Country with Robert Mitchum. I know they had showings here, but I don't believe either one for whatever reason had a premiere.
That would have been great.
But the Birds and Dr. No, the shot of Dr. No, of course, that represented very first James Bond movie.
Of course.
Sean Connery. And now we're into, I think, 16.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Have we not hit 20 yet?
It may be more than that in about 6 or 7 James Bonds too.
Yep, that's true. And so you took these pictures yourselves, and I don't think you would be much faulted for thinking that this was a scene out of, say, New York City or some other area, because, I mean, just that little vignette there, that shot there showing the very much lit up marquee, Dr. No, Mills Restaurant, the like you said, the pictures, and even the new kind of almost newsstand out front. I mean, it's a beautiful shot. It's a great picture, and I'm glad you've held on to it all of these years. And again, you can go and see this over on the social media, and even after the show has aired. And there's a lot more, of course, the premieres that have happened. And there was also when Jimmy Stewart came to town for his Western-ish movie.
Right. This was in 1968, and he's accompanied there with Ed Begley on the left and Barbara Luna. And it was a Southwestern premiere of Fire Creek. And I was at UTEP at the time. And the band was invited. The Marching Cavalcade was invited to appear out in front to play as they proceeded to walk past us going into the theater. And some of the Gold Diggers are also out there. And I remember at the time we were told that, after everyone gets in, all the dignitaries, will be permitted to go in and see. Well, it was sold out. So we didn't see it that night. But it was very special being 2-3 feet from these people that walked in front and playing a trombone. I was in the front row of the band, because of the slide. You had James Stewart and Ed Begley walk past. And you think, well, he looks just like he does in the movies.
But that's what's so beautiful about the Classic Film Festival. You meet these people. You're meeting stars and talking to them and listening to the wonderful interviews before the actual film.
Getting very close interactions with them, perchance.
Yes. Oh, wow.
You here involved with ever so slightly, I believe that's, is that Robert Mitchum?
Robert Wagner.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Robert Wagner there, getting very close to him indeed. And again, the picture's up there. And actually
we wanted him to feel welcome.
Absolutely. And
it would be rude not to.
There's this one great picture of the both of you all with Sam Elliott and his wife, whose name escapes me.
Catherine Ross.
Catherine Ross. Thank you. Famous in her own right,
The
of course.
Graduate.
Right. Yeah, and I was actually in the room that day because, among other things, I was doing some of the photography there, and there was actually a presentation after this point because one of the reasons Sam Elliott came back to town for both, the movie that was showing at the time. I think they're doing The Big Lebowski that year. This sounds about right. And his mother actually went to UTEP, is my understanding, and the Community Foundation went into the archives and found some of the records and documents of his mother's time there and presented them to him. So I need to find my pictures of that because they asked me to stick around because apparently I was the last person in the room with the camera kind of thing. So they asked me to stick around and take a couple of pictures of that. And so I've got that of that presentation for them. So, I mean, it's a great bit of history. And just some of the others here, if you want to mention of who we're looking at here, Jay.
Oh, well, that's Candy Clark, who was the Academy Award nominated actress from American Graffiti. She played Debbie. And of course, she appeared in many films, but she was here. And I have to make a comment firsthand on that. Doug and a couple of people from the Community Foundation and and she were invited to go to Anson's for dinner.
Okay.
And she said that was the best steak she'd ever had in her entire life. And she's been around a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was a nice thing to hear. And who is this you're
El
with?
Paso has a lot to offer. It always has.
Oh, absolutely here. And I want to say this is, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's Rita Moreno right there, who has, again, been rumored and strongly hinted at, including by Doug Pullen in the last hour of this show here, to be returning for some more of the upcoming, again, Plaza Classic Film Festival.
Right.
At the age of 90.
Yeah,
She's
it's
amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, she will be if she returns, and it sounds like she will be. She was an executive producer on the remake of West Side Story that Steven Spielberg directed, and she has a role in it as well. And this will be, I believe, her third trip back to El Paso.
Yeah. Let me come back a couple of times here. So a lot of guests that are coming out here and a lot of events. Again, talking about this among other ways with the Plaza Classic Film Festival coming up, starting, of course, later this month, next month, or July 28th through August 7th here. So a good time to figure out what the schedule is. And then also, of course, another guest that has definitely been confirmed and announced will be F. Murray Abraham of Amadeus and other fame, including the Grand Budapest Hotel a little bit more recently, even though Amadeus is a good one to see it out there too.
And the Class of 58 El Paso High.
Of course, Class of 58. Can't miss that at all. One more interesting comment coming in here. Michelle Chesser saying, just watch Take the High Ground and saw so many familiar Fort Bliss iconic sights from her childhood, the shots of the parade grounds and the turn of the century buildings that line it, the 1950s missiles on display, the mobile radar truck-like vehicles with the turning satellites on top. My dad worked in those. Very hot inside. Could use some of the air conditioning in the plaza from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what's beautiful about some of these pictures, productions, and the revival of them here. They got to maybe get that. Well, I guess if Turner Classic is showing it, doesn't have to be at the Plaza Theater, but it would be nice to be at the Plaza Theater. Again, if I were ever to have snuck away to see a movie at the Plaza Theater, it may or may not have been The Longest Day, because seeing it in that original time where it probably originally showed there was important to me. Can either confirm or deny if it ever actually happened, of course.
But it does make for a possible good memory.
Absolutely. I would cherish that deeply if that had indeed happened here. So we're going to need to take that last break of the hour right now. Coming out of the break, we'll close up the show, tell you what we got coming up for you next week. And again, talk a little bit more about the history of the Plaza Theater as we're joined still here in studio by Jay Duncan and Mary Jo Melby. So back after this break with more on the El Paso History Radio Show here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
M1 EP Management Corporation is proud to sponsor the El Paso History Show. If you're tired of the ups and downs of the stock market, invest in real estate. M1 EP manages apartments in El Paso and helps investors buy, hold, and sell property. See the website, m1ep.com. M1ep.com. To learn more about the many benefits and long-term appreciation of investing in real estate, call 915-592-4549. 915-592-4549.
El Paso History TV is now available for free on YouTube.com. Take a look at recent ABC7 news reports by Bernie Sargent on El Paso History TV about Hueco Tanks, the Franklin Mountains, Concordia Cemetery, and more. The YouTube channel also has more than 100 videos about El Paso history with lectures, documentaries, and various history clips. Go to youtube.com/El Paso History TV and find out how Texas history begins in El Paso.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Talk El Paso weekdays at 4 on News Radio 690 KTSM, breaking down the impact of the news on the borderland and beyond. Brought to you in part by Mission Del Rey Southwest, Souvenirs, Gifts, and Decor. That's Talk El Paso, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
The uh-ohs are out there. Scratches, dents, unexpected natural events. But with Mako and their magic, your car is no longer tragic. So when life throws you uh-ohs, just say, better get Mako! And go to Mako.com to book your appointment today.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed. Oh, yeah? Yeah, he's starting with the woots. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Asthma symptoms can attack anywhere, like on a city street. Now, you can get fast relief anywhere with new improved Primatene Mist, the only FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. So whether you need relief of symptoms at the park or at your kitchen table, Primatene Mist starts working quickly, opening up your airways to restore free breathing. For temporary relief of mild symptoms of intermittent asthma, use Primatene Mist and breathe easy again. Available at CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. Use as directed.
Developed and used by cultures in forested areas, drums served as an early form of communication. Due to the highly ambiguous nature of these rhythms, misinterpretations often occurred, resulting in violence. Thankfully, when we bang the drum now, we're a bit more civilized.
Can you hear me now?
A bit.
We have to hit them hard for this.
Beat out your frustrations on our drum.
Do not stop banging that drum.
News Radio 690 KTSM. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
And now, let's turn back the pages of time and return to the El Paso History Radio Show. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, 6761 Donovan Drive. By M1 EP Management Corporation, 915-592-4549. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Here again, El Paso History with Andrew J. Polk.
A little bit of progressive maintenance there. Oh, we are back here. Of course, thank you so very much for having joined us here for the El Paso History Radio Show. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. We've covered a lot of ground here today on the history, construction, premieres that have happened, of course, at the Plaza Theater. And just to put a pin in it, we do, of course, have the Plaza Classic Film Festival coming up this year, July 28th through August 7th. So, again, for that one intrepid individual who reached out to us asking what the cost is for this show, this one was free. Those tickets cost money, and it'll be there at the Plaza Theater. So if you want to find out information about that, plazaclassic.com there. So we had, I know we showed a lot of pictures here. We had a couple last minute we wanted to squeeze in here from the actual document, the actual publication that was doing some of the, among other things, history of the Plaza Theater. And you actually have a copy of it here with yourself, right, Jay?
I do. This was produced by the El Paso Community Foundation. Let's see, it's pretty shiny. I don't know if it's
show up well enough here. Plaza Premiere is the name of it. The El Paso Community Foundation prevents Plaza Premiere, and within it, as some of the pictures that we've got here as well, showing again some of those scenes that we've seen in slightly bigger pictures, as well as a lot of those movies that had shown here. So people may have remembrances back in the day: Pit and the Pendulum, Headless Ghost, Hypno Vista. I mean, just there's a lot of great names in there. And so not all of those get shown during the Classic Film Festival, but a whole lot more will be coming up here. So we're about out of time here for this program. Any last thoughts from either of you, Rick, Jay Duncan, or Mary Jo, on what you think about the Plaza Theater in the long run?
Well, I really just want to encourage everyone to come to the film festival. We are so lucky. This is the largest classic film festival in the world, and it's here in El Paso. And come and enjoy and meet a few stars, and you'll love it.
Absolutely. I mean, the pictures just y'all have been able to go and see with certain people, and again, getting friendly with them in various different ways, and going out and seeing and getting out and being a part of the community. That's very important to me, and why, again, I need to get the pass, even though I know I can't use the full pass because we have daily deadlines and such. There's too many movies happening during that 4 to 6 o'clock time frame during the week that I would just be heartbroken about missing. I'm going to be anyway, so I might as well just deal with it. So thank you very much for being with us here. And again, the potential for the Sunset Film Society return at some point, right?
I hope so. I know if people, and there have been people that have called in the museum. When is it coming back?
The International Museum.
The International Museum of Art, 1211 Montana Avenue. I think the best way is to call them and say, we want it back. If they see an interest out there. And you don't know if there's an interest unless you hear from people. And so if they were to call and just say, hey, we'd like to start attending those classic movies again at the wonderful auditorium at the International Museum, we get it going again,
Absolutely here. But in the meantime, I mean, make your calls there, but also make your plans to attend the Plaza Classic Film Festival. And to join us out today, right now at Pepe's, we'll be headed there right after the show here. Jay, Mary Jo will be joining us. Doug, if you're still out there, you're welcome to join us as well. Otherwise, we'll see you all at Pepe's. And, of course, next week here on the El Paso History Radio Show. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Have a great weekend, y'all.
Thank you for listening to the El Paso History Radio Show. We hope you'll join us again next Saturday morning, 10 to noon. And be sure to tell a friend about us. Brought to you by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, 915-588-1850. By Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant, home of the one and only margarita. By M1 EP Management Corporation. By Mission Del Rey Southwest, 1421 Lee Trevino, with El Paso souvenirs, decor, and gift shopping. Thank you for joining us from the studios of News Radio 690 KTSM AM El Paso. The El Paso History Show with Andrew J. Polk is 10 a.m. this Saturday about the Shakespeare, New Mexico ghost town and how it was part of El Paso's Old West life. The El Paso History Show is sponsored by Patrick Tuttle, Coldwell Banker Heritage Real Estate, Pepe's New Mexican Restaurant in Canutillo, Mission Del Rey Southwest for gifts and decor, and by M1 EP Management Corporation, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on News Radio 690 and streaming live on Facebook and YouTube.
iHeart